Hola, clase. So instead of giving you a worksheet to deal with the contractions right now, I'm actually projecting on the screen here what the worksheet would be. And what you're going to do is in the Google form, in the blanks below this video, you are going to record your answers. So I just want to remind you what contractions are. So I suppose I should scroll back to our notes from yesterday. Contractions. Okay, so contractions are when we put two words together, just like we do in English, except remember there's no apostrophe. The only time we ever have to deal with contractions are when we have the situation of the word day next to the word L or the word next to the word L. So if day and L are next to each other, we end up with del. Okay, what if day ends up next to a la, next to a los, or next to a las? There is no contraction. They would just be separate words. Day, la, day, los, day, las. All. This is only when is next to an L in a sentence. If it's next to any other definite article, there is no contraction, and they would be three separate words. La, los, las. But when is next to the word L, it becomes all. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is go to this assignment. We have two different activities, okay? So the top one that you're going to do, and you're going to record your answers below in this Google form. The top one is multiple choice. The bottom one, you are going to need to come up with what goes in here. But I will tell you that each one will either be, well, this is kind of common sense. Each one will start with either or day. So we'll take a look at each of these questions, okay? Number one, and feel free to pause this to record your answers and then go on to the next one. Number one, voy blank gimnasio. Gimnasio, that's a word we haven't had in our notes, but I bet you if you look at it, you can tell that it's the word for gymnasium. Okay, what does gimnasio end in? It ends in the letter O, so that tells you it's a masculine word, right? This would be el gimnasio. What you're trying to say in the sentence is, I'm going to the gym. So you have four choices here. You're either going to have all, la, or del, and only one of those would be correct if we're trying to say I'm going to the gym. So on your answer below in this Google form, I want you to put either A, B, C, or D. Okay, let's take a look at number two. Vas blank clase de español ahora? So what this is actually asking in English would be, are you going to the Spanish class now? To the Spanish class now? So we're trying to say to the. So your choices for number two are all, la, los, or las. And the way you decide which one to use is you look at the word clase and you remember whether clase is el, la, los, or las in front of it. Okay, number three. This one's going to use the word de instead because remember de means from or of. Es el amigo blank hermana de Pablo. What this sentence would mean in English is, it is the friend of the sister of Pablo. In English, we would say it is Pablo's sister's friend, but in Spanish, we have to say it backwards. So it is the friend of the sister of Pablo. So we're filling in of the. Your choices are going to be de las, del, de los, or de la. And you'll know which one to use by looking at the word hermana and knowing what definite article would go in front of hermana. Is it el, la, los, or las? Okay, let's take a look at number four. Es el carro blank señores Gómez. So we're saying it is the Gómez's car. Señores would be Mr. and Mrs. So it is Mr. and Mrs. Gómez's car. Or it is the car of Mr. and Mrs. Gómez. So we know señor, so now we have señores, which would be plural. In front of señores, it would be either el, la, los, or las. And you need to decide which one that is. And here are your choices for number four. Del, los, de los, or all. So you're deciding whether or not you're using the pronoun or whether you're using the pronoun de. and then you're choosing which definite article belongs with. It is the car of Mr. and Mrs. Gomez. Okay, moving on to number 5. El garaje está blank lado de la casa. This one should be an easy one, but we're saying the garage is next to the house. So you have your 4 choices: a la, al, del, or a los. And then we have number 6. La bicicleta blank el amigo de mi hermano está en el garaje. So what we're saying here is the bicycle of the friend of my brother is in the garage. Now in English, we would say that a lot more easily. We would say my brother's friend's bicycle is in the garage. Okay, but what we're filling here is the bicycle of the friend. Okay, so our choices here are al, del, de la, or a los. So you have to look at what's in front of amigo to figure that out. And that's activity A. Okay, now you're going to do activity B. Complete with the correct preposition. So you're doing the same thing as we did in the first activity, except this time it's not multiple choice. Okay, so you would be doing either al, a la, a los, or a las, or you're using del, de la, de los, or de las. So you'd still be using the ones that you see in these choices up above, except you're not provided choices. You're coming up with them yourself. So let's take a look at number 1. Vamos blank gimnasio y después vamos blank auditorio. Auditorio is a word you haven't seen before either, but I think you can tell by the cognate it's the word auditorium. So what this sentence would mean in English is we are going to the gymnasium, so that's the part you're filling in first, and after vamos, we're going to the auditorium. So the first one for number 1 is going to be to the, and the second one is also going to be to the. And you'll know which one to use by looking at the word gimnasio or auditorio and knowing whether it's masculine or feminine. Number 2, vamos blank escuela y después blank clases vamos blank tienda. So now we have 3 blanks to fill in. So this sentence in English would be we go to the school. That's our first blank, to the school. So we're looking for our prepositions here. Are you going to use a or de for saying to? Are you going to use al or del or a la or de la or a los or a las or de los or de las? You have to decide. We're going to the school. And after clases, okay, this one I'm going to give you a little clue on. The second one, after the word después, we always use the preposition de. Okay, so it's going to be de, but you have to decide what goes with clases. Is it going to be del? Is it going to be de la? Is it going to be de los? Or is it going to be de las? So, and after class, vamos blank tienda. So after classes, we go to the store. To the store. So we have to make that go along with tienda, and that's what we're going to fill in for our third blank. Number 3. El jardín está detrás blank casa. So what we're trying to say in number 3 is the garden is behind the house. Okay, now in our last chapter in capítulo 2, we learned the expression behind, right? Detrás de. So we already know that it's going to be de. It's either going to be del, de la, de los, or de las, and you have to decide for that one, and you're going to make it match the word casa. Last one, number 4. Voy blank tienda y doy el dinero blank empleado. So if we translated this sentence into Spanish or into English, it would mean I'm going to the store. So the first blank for number 4, you're putting in a preposition that means to the, and you have to make it match tienda. And the other part of the sentence is, and I give the money to the employee. I give the money to the employee, and we have to make that match empleado. Okay, so the second activity, activity B, is a little more challenging. But again, every answer will be either al, a la, a los, a las, or del, de la, de los, de las. So you're going to fill in those blanks on that Google form. Press submit when you are finished. Gracias. Adios.